皆さんこんにちは。Welcome back to my channel. If you speak like your Japanese textbook, native speakers might think you sound like a robot. But here's the secret. In real-life conversations, people drop particles like wa, ga, ni, wo all the time, and it still makes sense. Let me show you why. So grab your notebook and let's get started. First, particles like wa, ga, ni, wo help define roles in a sentence. But in spoken Japanese, if the meaning is clear, people just drop them. Let's listen to a sentence that your Japanese friend might say in real life. 明日仕事終わったら高校の友達呼んでみんなで飲み行くんだけど、アリサ来る？明日仕事終わったら高校の友達呼んでみんなで飲み行くんだけど、アリサ来る？ It sounds exactly how a native speaker might talk. Now let's listen to how this sentence would appear in a textbook. 明日仕事が終わったら高校の友達を呼んでみんなで飲みに行くんだけど、アリサは来る？明日仕事が終わったら高校の友達を呼んでみんなで飲みに行くんだけど、アリサは来る？ It sounds scripted and kind of unnatural to me. So let's break it down and what got dropped and why. First, in real-life conversation, we say 仕事終わったら。仕事終わったら。But in the textbook, say 仕事が終わったら。仕事が終わったら。So we drop the ga particle, which marks the subject of the sentence. But here's the thing. In real-life conversation, if the subject is obvious, people just drop ga. And in this case, there is no confusion. What is finishing? Obviously your job. Here are some examples. 雨降ってる。雨降ってる。お腹すいた。お腹すいた。Next part of the sentence. 高校の友達呼んで。高校の友達呼んで。The textbook version says 高校の友達を呼んで。高校の友達を呼んで。Here, を particle is dropped. を is direct object marker. It tells us what the verb is acting on. But in spoken Japanese, if it's obvious what the verb is doing too, people often drop を. Here's some examples. 日本語の勉強してた。日本語の勉強してた。コーヒー飲みますか？コーヒー飲みますか？ Now we get to 飲み行く。飲み行く。The textbook version would be 飲みに行く。飲みに行く。Normally, the particle に marks a destination or purpose. It shows where you are going or what are you going to do. But in conversation, when you use 行く, it's very common to drop に, especially the meaning is obvious from the context. Here are some examples. 今度、焼肉食べ行こうよ。今度焼肉食べ行こうよ。昨日 大阪万博行ってきました。昨日大阪万博行ってきました。お盆休みはどこ行くの？お盆休みはどこ行くの？ Finally, アリサ来る？アリサ来る？ The textbook version would be アリサは来る？アリサは来る？ We drop は the topic marker. In conversation, this happens a lot, especially when you are addressing someone directly and the topic is clear. Here are some examples. これ何？これ何？このアニメめっちゃ面白いね。このアニメめっちゃ面白いね。As you can see, many particles in the sentence can be dropped, but some particles cannot be dropped because they carry essential meaning. Let's go back to 高校の友達呼んで。高校の友達呼んで。Here, we kept the particle の in 高校の友達。The particle の is kind of like a label marker. It connects two nouns and makes the first one describe the second one. In this case, we have the noun 友達 friend. What kind of friend? A friend from 高校 high school. So no link them together to form high school friend 高校の友達. That's why no has to stay. Here are some examples. 英語の先生してます。英語の先生してます。東京の会社で働いています。東京の会社で働いています。Next one is みんなで飲み行く。みんなで飲み行く。Here, the particle で shows that it's a group action. It means you are doing something together with other people. If you drop で, it just sounds like you are naming people, not doing something as a group. So, で is essential here to show it's a shared activity. Here are some examples. 家族で旅行した。家族で旅行した。友達と二人で住んでいます。友達と二人で住んでいます。That's it for today's lesson. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the next video. I love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment down below and let me know what you'd like to see in my future videos. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for upcoming video. ではまた。